to a close.
Good evening, race fans, and from the World Center of Speed, we welcome you to the Daytona International Speedway as we get set to kick off the second half of the Real Sim Racing 2015 season. Jacob Seelman here in the broadcast booth for LSRTV alongside Evan Pasoko, Brian Macklin, Justin Rosenau down on pit road as we get set to go green flag racing for one of the most chaotic and one of the most exciting events of the season. And Evan, as we get set to rock and roll, there's not much that can be said other than it is Daytona.
Yeah, I think there's a full moon out as we race under the lights tonight at Daytona. It's been an interesting last 8 minutes. Not in the qualifying. Qualifying two-lap single car has set the grid, so we're ready to rock and roll. We hope everybody enjoyed the off week for the 4th of July weekend festivities. Still a lot of red, white, and blue out there on the racetrack, but Brian, we'll get set and run you down through the double clutch starting grid as we get set to get this one underway. Pole is going to go to the Monster Energy Chevrolet of David Comstock with a 47.385. Will start atop this field. Alongside in second spot goes to the 89. That's Jeff Ward.
The 91 of Steve Gottschalk, the Nerfinator, rides in the inside of the second row in third, and starting outside of him in the number 23, going to be Greg Evans starting in fourth.
Starting in row number 3, your points leader, the number 13, Dwayne Vincent, and to his outside, driving the number 21, sporting some really nice colors tonight, is Matt Lacrosse in the 6th position.
Eric Brundy's in a number 94 machine will roll from 7th position on the inside of row 4. Outside of him will be the number 69, that's Corbin Hemstreet.
Inside, row number 5 in the 9th spot, the 03, Thomas Lattimore, a veteran from the Outlaw Truck Series, and starting outside of him in the 10th spot, the number 66, the Tool Machine of Brian Harvey.
Starting in the 11th position, driving the Speed 77, number 9 Chevrolet SS is Anthony DeBarro, and to his outside, sporting the Rainbow Warriors Exalta Chevrolet SS, that's the number 42 of Scott Stenzel.
Number 96 of Mitch Rollo, his RCO Boomtown Sim Chevrolet, will roll from 13th after being the fastest car in practice as the field rolls from the grid. Alongside him in 14th is the patriotic Snap-on Chevy of Thomas George.
Inside, row number 8, the 15th spot goes to the Lowe's Chevrolet of Kevin Lynn, and starting outside of him in the 16th spot, going to be the Kodiak Ford Fusion of the 25 and Nick Silver.
In the 17th position, driving the number 52, Advanced Auto Parts number 52 Chevrolet SS, that's Sean Casto. And on the outside, in position number 18, is the number 36 of Rich Jett.
Ryan Vaughn will roll from the 19th spot into 28 on the inside of row 10. Outside, rounding out your top 20, the 53, that's Nicholas Cohan.
Scheduled to start 21st, not currently on the racetrack, the 72 of David Camara. Outside of him in the 22nd spot, the 22 of William Kemp.
Starting 23rd, the number 37 of J.R. Johnson, and to his outside, the number 11 of Jonathan Cadell.
Doug Roth will start in 23rd, 26th position, rather, alongside Doug Roth in P25 as Jimmy North. Brennan Mercer, 27th, 28th to Scott Simley. Joe Dismore in 29th, and rounding out the cars that put down a time in qualifying in 30th was Jose Malbrand.
31st through the end of the field, going to be the number 8 of Chad Cole in 31st. The 32nd spot, 5 of Dan Murray. 10 of John Abbott in 33rd. 34th goes to the 38 of Jason Swan. 44 of Paul Fugate, scheduled to start 35th. 36th, Danny Sanchez in the 87, subbing for Christopher Hurlow. 55, Douglas Wyatt, going to round out tonight's field as the field files out of turn 4. Here is LSR-TV's own Jacob Seelman.
Thank you, Justin. We get set to roll in the iRacing. Ford First Mustang pace car going to make that hard left turn onto the safety of pit road and leave the field in the hands of the Monster Energy machine of David Comstock. We're ready to roll from the World Center of Racing. The American Ethanol green flag going to go in the air. And as we storm across the start-finish line and down to turn number 1, we're underway from the Daytona International Speedway. The Firecracker 200 is green.
The outside, a place to be, at least down through 1 and 2. Everybody diving to the apron now as we go down the back straightaway. 3 cars lead the outside charge. Throw the 69 into mix as well, but it is the outside advantage to the driver of the 89. Jeff Ward's machine, after starting in second, dives to the bottom. Your race leader in 3.
David Comstock going to work up the inside there alongside wheel to wheel with Jeff Ward now out of turn number 4. The 89 Jeff Ward thought about going low there in turns 3 and 4. Got better of it. Went back up to the high side to block the advances of the 23 of Greg Evans. Leader across the stripe for lap number 1 will be the Unical 76 Chevrolet of Jeff Ward. Comstock now making a charge now on the inside line of the field now at 1.
That 89 was a car length cleared down to quarter 3 for the first time now that they head down that Daytona super stretch for the second. Did not drop down to the inside lane. Thought about it, was clear. Jeff Ward came back up. He continues to work with Greg Evans. What is that allowed? It's allowed the 14 to David Comstock to get back down there on the inside. They're side by side for the top spot as well. 4 rows deep, the top 8 crunched within 2/10 of each other down at a quarter number 4. This time, Comstock with a small advantage out, but a big run off of quarter 4 puts Jeff Ward in front at the stripe.
As Jeff Ward starts to eke out an advantage now on that high side. He's got almost a full car length now getting into turn number 1 over the 14 to David Comstock, but does not close that inside line. The 14 Monster Energy Chevrolet David Comstock working back now to the inside. Jeff Ward got struck hanging just about a nose or so off the back bumper of that 14 machine as the inside line makes its advances with the 13 of Dwayne Vince, the 94 of Eric Brundies, the 03 of Thomas Lattimore also on the bottom side, along with the number 9 machine of Anthony Navarro. Just a 4-car hard line right now, 89 of Jeff Ward, 23 of Greg Evans, the Patriotic 21 of Matt Lacrosse, and the 69 of Corbin Himstraight rides up on the high side now in the 7th spot.
Jeff Ward again cleared down the back into 3, but jumps back up to the high side. Continuing to work with that number 23 Folds of Honor Chevrolet of Greg Evans. They are at the top 2. The outside lane, they're joined immediately by the Quick Car Racing Products number 20 of Matt Lacrosse and the 69 of Corbin Hipstreet. Those are the lead 4 cars on the outside of the racetrack. Everybody else behind them dropped down on the very start. The bottom, typically considered a safer place to be. Now the inside going to gain some momentum as Jeff Ward finally sticks her down on the bottom and stays there for the moment as they go through 3 and 4. He gets clear. He's in front now, and that's at 14 to David Comstock, that Monster Energy Chevy. Now the pushing car down on the inside, second in line. It puts Greg Evans into a lead spot, but now with only 3 cars at the high side back to quarter number 1, they may struggle to keep up as everybody's slowly trying to create a big stack pack down on the bottom of the racetrack. So far, the advantage goes back to Jeff Ward.
80 laps, 200 miles the distance here at the World Center of Racing. Evans up on the high side, around out on the outside of the 14 of David Comstock. Evans at times getting really close, almost touching doors at the trial of the last time by. Coming around this time by, be 5 laps in the books as the field works off at turn number 4. Ward still out front with Comstock now clear the outside line.
Comstock clear the outside, and that's going to make it at least a 2-car freight train at the front of the field. They're door-to-door from 3rd on back as we cross the start-finish line and start work on lap number 6. The field already back towards turns 1 and 2 in the 31 degrees of bank. We continue to roll. Jeff Ward continues to lead, and Brian Macklin, I'm not surprised by this because, well, it's basically what we've seen all year long.
Yeah, these 2 have been the class of the field everywhere we go all season long. I had the opportunity of racing with them early on in the season, and they're always the 2 guys you have to look forward to trying to beat. And it's no surprise at all that they're out front here. And no, they're not teammates, but they look like they are the way they're drafting with one another right now. They're doing a really good job pulling that inside line around and keeping the outside line from being able to prevail. The outside line, since Jeff Ward dropped down, has not really been able to do anything, and they now have about 7 or 8 cars lined up. So it's only a matter of time before they could start making some moves, but they need a little bit more help up there if they're going to actually get by these 2 up front.
This is when you get a little bit nervous right here, working some lap cars, and as we work down the super stretch again, working lap number 7, everybody was able to get into formation and pretty easily sit solidly, work through. It's a moment where you stop and look at this, and Evan, 3 wide, especially going through the tri-oval, is not the way you want to be working here at the Daytona International Speedway. It's dicey, and these lap cars are going to make it very difficult for these leaders all night long, but at least for now, they navigated it quite nicely last time by.
Yeah, that was the 44 machine. Started from pit road, so it is going to put Paul Fouguet one lap down right now in the number 44 machine. He started for the pit lane. You saw him up at the high side. He actually got in the fence very carefully. It's very easy for a car to get in the wall, try to get it out, and very easily you can turn yourself down across the racetrack. So the 44 did catch the outside wall, but did a good job of staying out of everybody else's way. The leader's only 2 wide at that time, so there's more than enough room. But again, you talked about how doing it through the trial will probably the biggest place that you don't want to see that, because the cars get real loose when they go through there. It's got enough banking to really rival, if not top, many of the 1.5 tracks that we go to. It's an entire turn within of itself, and it's going to get really tight there at points. It's interesting to see, though, that Jeff Ward has dropped down to the bottom. He could have done it 3-4 times, didn't. It looked like he was really keen on sticking with Greg Evans. Finally gave up, dropped down to the bottom. He's now working with Comstock, and now Dwayne Vincent finds himself at a 13 machine up in front of the 23. So Greg Evans did a good job of pushing that 89 of Jeff Ward clear of the inside earlier. Let's see if he can do that for our points leader, still searching for the first win in 2015.
Yeah, where did Dwayne Vincent come from all of a sudden? The run to the high lane, he wants the lead. Justin Rosenau, what are they saying on the 13 radio? That Ford is coming to the front.
Well, Dwayne Vincent told me before the race, it's now or never for that one-up motorsports entry. The lone wolf right now, he has no help for this Throttle Cup Series, and Dwayne Vincent very determined to show that he can do it on the plate tracks just as well as he can do it on the intermediate tracks.
He's doing it right now as we're already working an eighth of the way through this race, coming around to complete lap 10 when they get back to the start-finish line. And Brian, Jeff Ward has led every one of the 10 laps that we will have run when we get to the stripe. And I think that's very telling right now. He has struggled on Monday nights of late, but looking at this the way he's running this race so far, I'm very impressed with the job that they've done in that 89 camp tonight.
Yeah, they certainly brought a really strong piece here as David Comstock jumped up to the outside looking to try to make a move, but he had no help. He's going to have to wait for the 13 to get there. But yeah, Jeff Ward, he's got a really strong car tonight, and he's definitely going to show his muscle all night long. He hasn't had the best look like you mentioned. He wants to get back into the lane, so they're definitely going to do everything they can here to try to win this race tonight.
We are working lap number 11 of 80 here from the World Center of Racing. It's the annual July trip to Daytona International Speedway, the Firecracker 200. Already well into the early stages. Jeff Ward, your race leader, coming to complete lap number 11. Steve Gottschalk and David Comstock are battling for second. We'll be back with more here from the Daytona International Speedway in just a moment. We're going to go side by side. You're watching LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. Welcome back to LSRTV, working lap number 15 of the Firecracker 200 from the Daytona International Speedway. Jacob Seelman, Evan Pasoko, and Brian Macklin in the broadcast booth with Justin Rosenau down on pit road, and we've had a lead change at the front of the field. Lap number 12, David Comstock gets around Jeff Ward for the race lead from the outside lane. He got a good shove from Dwayne Vincent, and the Monster Energy Machine, the pole sitter, now back to the top of the leaderboard with Ward riding second, Dwayne Vincent third, Steve Gottschalk fourth, and Greg Evans rounding out the top five. Big trouble! Turn number 3, Matt Lacrosse up the racetrack. Dwayne Vincent's in it. Everybody's scrambling between turns 3 and 4. Half the field. It's the big one at Daytona.
And somehow no caution flag out. The 13 of Dwayne Vincent in the middle of all of that. That car is severely torn up after contact, after he tried to come down. Wasn't quite clear. Went up into the fence. Now the caution will fly from race control, but that was the biggest melee that didn't lead to a single spin I've ever seen. At least a dozen cars involved in that. The admins do manually throw the caution. We slow them down, but just like that, all chaos breaks loose at the front of the field.
Wow. Brian, where do we start with that? It looked like Matt Lacrosse got a little bit loose. I couldn't tell from my angle whether he had help.
David Comstock tried to come up and block. It didn't work, so Dwayne had to stay on the outside line, and then he tried to come down in front of Comstock going off into turn 3, and there just wasn't room. And when he went back up, Greg Evans in the 23 was just trying to make it 3 wide, and there was just nowhere for him to go. That was definitely a bad move on Dwayne Vincent's part there. I don't want to say rookie mistake because he's a veteran, but that was a really, really big deal.
So we work under caution with working lap number 18. I mean, it's just, that's not what you want to see, Evan, and it's put a lot of good cars on pit road now.
Yeah, and they were just racing hard at the front of the field. And the good news, if any, is that Dwayne Vincent got up into the outside wall with Greg Evans, and they didn't spin in front of the racetrack, because if they did from the front row, it would have been the entire pack. A lot of drivers able to get away scot-free. Most of them probably just closed their eyes when they went through it down in 3 and 4, but a lot of drivers behind what was that lead group, which for the most part, up until about 2 laps prior to the incident, were single-filed on the bottom. Comstock jumped up high, it brought the outside, they sucked right back up to him. Next thing you know, you have that big pack and you see the incident. But again, nobody went all the way around, so the sim did not actually trigger the automatic caution flag. So everybody bounced off each other, nobody spun. They wrecked, but nobody spun all the way around. They raced about half another lap, and then they manually tossed the yellow, which means a whole lot of these drivers are stuck at the back of the pack right now. Good news for many of them is they're able to coast it into pit road and get some service. Only David Comstock stays out at the front of the field.
Yeah, all the leaders but Comstock are in, Justin.
All the leaders coming down pit road right now to get a little bit of attention because most of the front of the field was involved heavily in that incident. I've got the better part of 20 cars involved in that incident with several more in the back of the pack. I'll get the updated totals for you here in just a moment, but out of the 37 cars, I'm estimating in the neighborhood of 25 cars having damage now coming down pit road to get attention made on those cars.
Well, Brian, this completely changes the dynamic of this race now because you've got a ton of cars that have damage. You've got very few that don't, and it's going to completely shuffle up this lead pack now for the last 3/4 of this race. We're not even a quarter of the way through, and this has literally changed everything.
Yeah, I have to say I'm really kind of surprised at what David Comstock's doing right here. With as many cars that were damaged in that wreck as there were, I don't understand why they didn't bring him down to pit road and get fuel in that car. They're going to have to come down in about 20 laps or so to get fuel. If we don't have another caution, that's really going to go in a disadvantage to him because he's going to have to come down on pit road by himself and then come back out on this track and have no drafting help whatsoever. So I don't know if I like this call for David, but man, that was a huge wreck and took out a lot of really fast cars. It took out our points leader, Dwayne Vincent. We talk about how consistent he's been all season long, and unfortunately, it looks like that consistency is going to stop here. Fortunately for him, that's no indication on what kind of a driver he is. This is a difficult set of circumstances because restricted plate racing is a wild card kind of race and anything can happen. So I'm sure Dwayne Vincent will get back on the horse and be fine next week.
We're going to do a little bit of business, and we will come back for the restart in a moment from Daytona International Speedway. You're watching Live Sim Racing TV.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks and terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Welcome back to LSRTV. Under caution and getting set for a restart with 21 laps of 80 complete here at the Daytona International Speedway. Jacob Seelman, Evan Pasoko, Brian Macklin in the broadcast for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series. Firecracker 200, Justin Rosenau down on pit lane patrolling what has been absolute chaos. I believe the total count, 23 cars now, Justin, all on pit road. We're getting ready for a restart, and that's 2/3 of the field.
Yeah, just going through and watching the cars come by me here on pit road. And I'll read you the whole list right here, right quick. I got the 89, 13, 21, 42, 91, 94, 23, 03, 53, 1, 11, 43, 96, 28, 66, 52, 37, 29, 15, 22, 69, 36, and 25 all involved.
So, we have about 12 cars with no damage, but we still have a whole bunch on the racetrack. David Comstock and Anthony DeBarro going to be the two cars on the front row for this American Ethanol restart. If it's good enough for NASCAR, it's good enough for your car. American Ethanol fueling NASCAR, green flag back in the air. David Comstock, your leader to turn number 1, and Corbin Hemstreet, who was caught up with a little piece of that big one in turn number 3, going for second with his teammate up high, and now Steve Gottschalk drops to the bottom. The challenge for the lead in turn 2.
It was an aggressive move down to the inside lane of a half of 91. It's going to allow him to get to the inside of the number 9 car, up on the high side down the back straightaway. The 14 comes up, make sure that the outside not making a charge in the 3 as they had earlier on in this race on the drop of the initial green flag, tucks back down in 1. It's the inside with 2 car lengths of an advantage. Side by side for P3 has the number 91 of Gottschalk, 3rd car in line on the bottom, side by side with the dot of Anthony DeBarro, who leads the outside. There goes his teammate, number 69, going to join him on the outside.
All right, Boomtown up top and looking for the lead here at Daytona. Justin, I'm going to go back to you because I know these two have been on the radio consistently under this caution before the restart. They're trying to work together, and they want to. They don't care who gets the win tonight. Boomtown just wants a win badly.
Boomtown seriously needs a strong run after the last few races here leading into the midway break of the 2015 Full Throttle Cup Series presented by Garry Mercer Trucking. And 96 of Mitch Rowe involved heavily in that incident there, so that's going to put one of the bullets back out of the chamber. So you got 2 bullets up in the front doing very well. Corbin Hemstreet now going to take the lead across the stripe. So DeBarro, Hemstreet, these two, no strangers to working together, especially on the late tracks. These two can certainly be a force to be reckoned with if they get in the right place at the right time.
All right, Brian, we're wheel to wheel deadlocked through the first 3 rows. I mean, we had the big one, and nobody seems to want to start playing nice. I guess, no fear out of any of these guys, despite the fact that we just wiped out half the field.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they had a week off, so they haven't been on the track racing against each other in a couple of weeks, and they wanted to get out here and have some fun. And they didn't do a whole lot of draft practice during the practice session. I was watching, and it was a lot of single-car runs or 2 or 3-car runs. We didn't see a lot of actual big draft packs, so I'm sure all these guys are just anxious to get out here and have some fun, and that's exactly what they're doing so far.
That is what they're doing. We're working lap number 25 right now, and we'll take a look at the Garry Mercer Trucking leaderboard and give you your top 10 as they run here with 25 laps. Going to go up on the board. Corbin Hemstreet led the last time by and battles for the lead with David Comstock, who was scored second. Steve Gottschalk third and pushing, and Anthony DeBarro fourth. Jeff Ward fifth. Nick Cohan sixth. Eric Brundy's the defending champ seventh. Jose Malbron, the newbie, up to eighth. Kevin Linden ninth. Chad Cole, the former champion, rounding out the top 10. Of course, we know that is not how they will be when they get back to the line, because, Evan, positions change at the drop of a hat at this racetrack, and it's what we love about the draft.
Yeah, you'll see the number of lead changes at the end of the night. Might be a pretty good one, but there's a change for position, at least a handful of them, 5, 6, 7, within this lead draft alone, every time they come by, and it's because nobody's running right on each other's door. They're all staggered a little bit. The 14 machine came up once again, blocked that outside run through the travel. 69 to Corbin Hemstreet. He a little bit of a tap going into the travel, letting him know that he wants some clean air up there on the outside. But again, 3 is the magic number. That's all you see on the outside lane right now. It's 3 up high, 6 down low in the first group of cars that's packed together. Now make it 2 on the outside as Nicholas Cohan drops down in line. With this new draft model, it seems to become a recurring topic every time you hit one of these plate tracks. The last couple of builds, they're really taking big swings, and the draft changes a lot every time. There's a lot more suck up in these cup cars. The outside can work. We've seen it. They were leaded by 2 car lengths as somebody on the apron heads up. Everybody going to be able to get around it. Close call with that lap car, and that's only going to break things up even more in the lead draft, and now almost completely get rid of the outside, leaving the 9 out there by himself. But we've seen 4 cars make it work. If we get a couple of more guys on the outside and work together, that second lane can really be a factor, and give a good challenge to the 14 right now who's just playing it on the inside.
Now, and that lap car was the 28 Radius Motorsports entry of Ryan Vaughn, one of the new cars to this segment. So everybody with a lot of heads-up driving, but you're right, it pretty well wipes out the outside lane. It leaves Anthony DeBarro a lonely man. Corbin Hemstreet was able to drop to the bottom in 4th. He doesn't have a lot of help, and now what you're going to see is a steel horse tandem behind leader David Comstock, the 91 of Steve Gottschalk, the 89 of Jeff Ward. They're going at it, and everybody's peaking. Everybody wants to go back to the high side, Justin Rosenau, but what I'm hearing over the radios, nobody wants to be the first man to make the jump.
Well, when you're the first man to make the jump, if nobody goes with you, then you're going to be hung out to dry, just like the 9 is. He does have a little bit of help, though, on the high side. I heard Rich Jet reaching down, running over to Anthony DeBarro's pit, trying to get those two to work together to make something happen on the outside. Once these two can even get their cars rolling on the racetrack, somebody else is going to join with them. And at this point right now, everybody trying to run single file, maybe getting themselves settled in, because still got a little ways to go with the caution flag waving there before pit stops happen again. But it'd be final service, so guys just maybe playing it conservative, seeing what they got, because you still got a long way to go here in the firecracker Q1.
We do have a long way to go, but it's been David Comstock who has been the man for the most part in this race. He has led a good portion of the 29 laps that we are going to complete this time by. Gottschalk, Ward, and Him Street, your top 4, with Eric Brundy's moving on up into the 5th spot. So with 30 laps in the books, Evan, we've already seen the complexion change. Still out there at 200 miles an hour, and not a whole lot of people knowing exactly what's going to happen as we get halfway beyond, closer to the end of this race. We know when they pitted at laps... trouble! Caution on the racetrack. I'm not sure exactly where it's at.
Looks like trouble in between the tri-oval and quarter number 1. Mitch Rollo is torn up in the number 96 machine as well. Around is the number 95 of Joe Dinsmore. Caution flag is out. This was the complete opposite side of the speedway than our race leaders were, and it began actually with contact between Matt Lacrosse and Mitch Rollo coming out of the tri-oval. 2 drivers bumping. These cars, the bumper in the back, they don't line up like they used to in the old COTs. You take a car like that 96, Jacob, who's been in an incident. You take the Not 21 machine who's been in an incident, and when all that sheet metal's torn up, it looks like they just kind of hooked together. Nobody made any erratic movements, but you're coming out of that tri-oval. You mentioned earlier how tricky of a spot on the racetrack it is. Those damaged race cars just caught each other at a bad spot, and they went around together.
From Daytona International Speedway, you're watching LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today.
Okay, we're just gonna come back to
Specialize
Inside
in
Sim
less
Racing
than
lower
truckload
third,
shipments,
and then we
show
will
freight.
do.
We do rush team service deliveries
Actually,
and haul your
already
refrigerated
played.
or heated product. Our
Race
regular
Chaser
team
Online,
service
iRacing
from
News,
Canada to
those are the two lower
California
thirds
is
that will be
second to
up.
none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud
Playlist
of our
isn't
people
gonna work.
and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Welcome back to LSRTV as we're rolling here, getting ready to complete lap number 33 in the Firecracker 200, so 47 to go. Jacob Seelman, Evan Pasoko, Brian Macklin in the booth for Real Sim Racing's Full Throttle Cup Series, presented by Garry Mercer Trucking, and our coverage on LSRTV, proudly presented tonight by Race Chaser Online. For all the motorsports news, views, and driver interviews of the day, visit www.racechaseronline.com for unique content from around the motorsports world, from dirt to pavement, 2 wheels to 4, and everything in between. Today's racing news, yesterday's racing history, and tomorrow's racing stars. Visit Race Chaser Online for more information. Getting ready for a restart. Couple of guys stayed out. Justin Rosenau, we had a cycle of pit stops, and Kevin Linden in the Lowe's 48 out in front. Couple of mic difficulties with Justin. We'll try to get back with him a little bit later, but Evan, I'll go to you with this pit strategy. It's going to be a whole lot of fun because I've also heard rumblings on the radio. The Boomtown guys just topped off, and if they get a couple more caution flags, they ain't coming back to pit road.
Well, cautions not only changed the aspect of the race as far as roll the big group, but it just saved that fortunate David Comstock. Again, he stayed out. It was not all that far away from running out of gas 20 laps before everybody else. Everybody came in, keeping in mind that with a handful of caution flags with maybe a 2-to-1 ratio as far as saving fuel under yellow, might be able to make it the distance in an 80-lap affair. Restart coming up right here as we go at it for number 4, 46 laps to go. A little bit of a stretch, but it's a whole new ball game in that regard.
Whole new ball game indeed, and it puts the field in the hands of Kevin Linden and Douglas Wyatt in the 48 and 55 as we get set to go back racing. American Ethanol green flag flies once again. Leaders gonna string out right here. Comstock to the bottom. We're gonna work back towards turn number 1. Top 4, 5 cars now go single file. First battle between Daytona February winner Rich Jett and defending champ Eric Brundys.
It was not a good start for the outside, and the first 2 cars on the outside bailed out to the bottom, which left that 36 of Rich Jett out there with no help. Now that 36, he's been very loyal to the outside really in this entire race so far. He's been up there, guys have left him, and he's stuck up there. They jump out of line, he sucks right up to him, gives him a shot, and then they just drop back down the line again. 36 is working though with some rear end damage, if anybody is. The 94 also has damage, so there's a lot of guys around him, but you see that 14 go to the high side, now the 37, now the 94. Outside's got some numbers. They'll be able to do something with it if they can work together though. That 36 jumps out of line, tucks back down, but with this many cars on the outside down to quarter 1, the total number going to be 5. Watch that 14 to Comstock flying on the top.
How about this outside lane battle, Brian? All of a sudden, we've seen that lane completely form up. Comstock's leading it, and he's deadlocked in a battle for second with Doug Roth down the super stretch.
Yeah, when he jumped out there, he had a whole line of cars jump up there with him and decided to go work with him. And that was a good call for them because they're going to the front right now. David has a really strong car to make his lot of laps. He's going back to the front. There's only going to be a few more laps before he's back up there. He takes command of this race once again.
He wants command. He also wants another win on the season. He's been the most potent driver of 2015, Evan. I mean, we've not really seen anything that Comstock hasn't been able to do. He started off the season with a victory victory in his dual race at Daytona before the 250 in February. He's picked up 3 points win since, and now we see the 55 Napa entry of Doug Wyatt dropping out of line down below the yellow line, going to let the leaders go by and commence this battle once again. But I mean, we know how potent that monster Chevrolet is, and Comstock proven that it doesn't matter where he's at, he's going to be in contention to win.
Yeah, very strong. We've seen dominant runs for that team at intermediate racetracks, but they always bring it when they come to tracks like Daytona and Talladega. Has had success here. He's liking a little bit more grip that we have here now with the night race here in July as opposed to what he had earlier to get the season kicked off with the day race. A little bit more slick of a racetrack. His aero package as well working in his favor. He needs some help though. He's about 3 car lengths off the back of that 37, and behind him, J.R. Johnson, the 94 machine as well, of Eric Grundy's. Those guys going to catch him. They'll give him a shot here, but again, he's really going to start to squeeze guys down, something that we didn't really worry about in the first couple of stints, but we're not all that far from halfway. Once you hit that lap 40 mark and the laps start to wind down, they're going to start pinching more on that bottom, trying to get more of a side draft. Things can get ugly very quickly, at least right now, though. Calm, cool, and collective on the outside lane, P5 at the stripe.
P5 at the stripe, and we almost went 3 wide. We're trying to go 3 wide. I believe we've got that lap car on the outside. I think that's the 15 of Scott Simley that just got blown by. He is now going to go a second lap down to the race leaders, of which 26 cars currently ride on the lead lap, led by Kevin Linden and Doug Roth. And you know, we talk about these wild card races, Brian. All it takes is one win to be in the chase for the championship. And up front, currently, those top 2, neither of them have a victory on the year.
Yeah, this is a big opportunity, and they even have a bigger opportunity because a lot of European guys that are up front with running for the wins, they're out of this race. So they are certainly well off the pace because of that big 23 or 24 car wreck that we had earlier on. So this is a chance for a lot of these guys to capitalize. Almost everybody up here in the front pack is in the top 30 as we're on board with the number 29 of Brendan Mercer. All these guys are in the top 30 in points, so if they get a win, they're going to lock themselves into the chase. So this is a very big opportunity. They have to capitalize right here because for some of them, this might be their last chance to get a win before the chase starts.
It may well be, as we are going to be halfway this time by, and with that, we will take an LSRTV midway race break as we come around to complete lap number 40 of 80, so we'll have 40 laps to go, and we'll take you down the Ford Performance full field rundown here at the halfway point of this race. Kevin Linden, your race leader. Doug Roth is second. Jeff Ward third. Sean Casto fourth, and almost trouble as the 87 machine of Danny Sanchez makes contact with the left rear quarter panel of the 14 of David Comstock. It was almost disastrous. We'll get you back to the full field rundown in a moment, and that was off the exit of turn 2.
Yeah, in your Tangaloo 3 play right now, biggest issue there was Nick Silver's number 25, the Kodak machine behind him, coming flying up behind the contact at the back end after that 87 got sideways, and that's where I thought they were going to lose it. It was a great enough save by Danny Sanchez, but Nick Silver was getting hit from behind. Him, the 37 and 94, all kind of got locked together. Somehow, though, about a 4-car incident, nobody gets really severe damage and all of that. Again, most of these race cars had some sort of damage from an earlier wreck in quarter number 4. We stay green, but that quickly, that lead group goes from double digits down to 7 in that one lead pack.
And it is still led by Kevin Linden. Sean Casto going to lose that second position, which he had at the stripe. Doug Roth and Jeff Ward going to slot back in as Casto falls in line in 5th. Then it's Rich Jett now 6th, who won the Daytona 250 in February. So with an updated look at the top 10, riding in the 7th position is going to be the 84 of Jimmy North, and Sanchez, it looks like, is going to slot in 8th. Nick Cohan 9th, and Jose Malbron rounds out the top 10. And Evan, let's look a little further down this Ford full field rundown.
And the next car in line leads that secondary draft from 11th on back. It's J.R. Johnson into number 37. As Nick Silver sits in 12th. 13th just behind them is Tommy Slattermore. Up from 31st to 14th, Chad Cole on the outside lane. He works with the 42 of Scott Stenzel, who sits in 15th position. 16th spot right now to number 91 machine, trying to get back up to where he was earlier. That's Steve Gottschalk. Eric Brundys is back in 17th. Contact now, ready to build this pack. J.R. Johnson sideways and around. Caution flag is out as that car plows into the inside wall. Big trouble for the 37 through the tri-oval. The yellow flag will fly.
Caution flag flies here at lap number 44. So we're through the tri-oval, and that is going to be the third caution of the race as we take a look at the LSRTV replay booth and see that the 37 actually was riding completely backwards for a little while. Chad Cole tried to shoot up the middle. It just didn't quite work, Evan.
Yeah, he went to the inside, and the 37 was up there. That's 2 lanes. You can make it 3 wide, but again, that tri-oval comes into play again. 37 make it a little bit of a downward movement, but I don't think you could really fault J.R. Johnson for that. We did say, though, once you get past halfway, these guys are going to start to make moves that they weren't earlier. Chad Cole make an aggressive move. He had a huge run, which is why he didn't want to let off Feather and get behind that 37. Him and Stenzel were moving, tried to stick it into a hole that I think could have easily been avoided or not necessary at that point in time. It ends up with contact, and you mentioned that at 37 was just coasting backwards for a long time. If he wasn't going backwards, he was going to spin and hit somebody else. So great heads-up driving by that driver to go backwards. He did plow it into the inside wall, but avoided making it a multi-car incident. He is going to get the brunt of it as well, damage to the 8.
Kevin Linden, still your race leader. Doug Roth riding second, and Jeff Ward is third. And I would imagine, Justin Rosenau, I would imagine the fuel window's pretty close right here for everybody to make it to the end.
They need a caution or so to save just to make sure that they get through, especially if you're all up front. You're not going to get the fuel mileage you are just behind. But these guys are certainly experts on, stretching their fuel. They're shutting their cars off, letting them coast, but still maintaining a safe speed. As I see from my end of pit road, one car does stay out. I can't really make out the number.
Comstock stays out. Wow. And Justin, you've got a whole horde of leaders in. We'll throw it back to you.
48 of Kevin Linden. Looks like he's just going to take full only. He's going to go. And several cars taking a little bit less fuel, it looks like, or got a quicker fuel stop. As 52 of Sean Castle and 36 of Rich Jett going to make their way off of pit road ahead of the previous race leader, Kevin Linden. Rich Jett, by the way, did win the Daytona 250 back in February.
We're going to do some business past halfway here on LSR TV, but stay with us. We've got more action from the World Center of Racing right after this. Daytona International Speedway. You're watching Live Sim Racing TV.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks and terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight. We do rush team service deliveries and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve.
Welcome back to LSRTV from the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. You're watching the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series Firecracker 200 and our coverage on LSRTV tonight, presented by Inside Sim Racing TV, a proud sponsor of Real Sim Racing, and the Asphalt Assault Series, which we saw conclude a couple of Wednesdays ago. Jeff Ward wrapped up the championship, and Jeff Ward has been strong in this race tonight, leading some laps, but he will restart 11th. David Comstock and Eric Brundies, Evan, will restart on the front row, and that is a talent-laden top two right there. You've got the defending champion and the hottest guy in the series.
And they both had quite different journeys to get up to the front row so far tonight, although Brundies did start P7 at 94 as been through the ringer, has damage all over that Ford Fusion, but is still running strong. Comstock has been quite dominant, got bailed out there by a caution flag not all that long ago, and only to make up a couple of spots. Not surprised that he'll lead us back.
Ready to go for another American Ethanol green flag restart. The iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car heads for the safety of pit road. The green flag flies, and the teammates are now going to run 1-2 across the stripe. David Comstock, your leader, and Brennan Mercer in the Garry Mercer Trucking, number 29, rolls down to the inside, takes second away from the defending champion, and the teammates run in lockstep through the 31-degree banking. Caution flag flies again.
Big trouble down through 1 and 2. Jose Malbrand, the 88, heavy contact up and over and comes to a rest down in the infield grass in 1 and 2. Big contact between him and Scott Stenzel. The 42 machine, you'll take a look at the replay right now, Jacob. Not sure if he didn't see the 88 or what, but just came down, took him, and Malbrand was on the lid of about 2-3 different cars and slid on his roof for the majority of turn 2.
Yeah, one of the cars that he landed on was the number 28 of Ryan Vaughn, but boy, Justin, that right there was about as chaotic as the ride that Austin Dillon took at this racetrack in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race on Monday a week ago. What a mess over there in turn 1, and Jose very vocal on the radio, just not happy with the way that went down.
No, he is not. He's actually taking the ride at the infield care center. But another thing to point out, the driver of that 42 Exalta Chevrolet, Scott Stenzel, also involved in that incident as well. Found a little bit of an iRacing glitch, bouncing up and down vertically on the roof for quite some time there, for the better part of about 30 seconds or so. But that machine still somehow able to drive away from that mess. And again, that's tough luck for those drivers, but this once again plays right into the hands of your leaders, especially the 14 of David Comstock.
Okay, Brian, if you're one of these guys that came down and pitted under the caution at lap 33 and you're trying to save fuel with this caution flag, can you make it to the end?
I definitely think this helps the cause. I think they were close before, but if they didn't think they were going to make it to the end, they wouldn't have stayed out on the most recent caution. They would have come down with everybody else. So obviously their crew chiefs have done the math and crunched the numbers, and they figured it out that they're going to be all right. Otherwise, they would have brought them down. I definitely think it's a good chance to take, especially for a driver like David Comstock. He's already got his wins to get in the chase, but not only him, but also look at Brennan Mercer, who doesn't have a win, and this is a really big opportunity for him to try to get up there and get a win, and staying out here and putting himself in the top 3 or 4 here. This gives him a really good opportunity to try to get up there and get that win, lock himself into the chase, and then have a shot at that championship later down the stretch.
Brennan Mercer has been on the chase bubble, Evan, 16th for about the past 5 races. A win in this race tonight. Keep in mind, he has never won a Full Throttle Cup Series race. He's won an Icebreaker Series race in the winter on Monday nights. Never one of these races. He's got the presenting sponsor on his car. He has poured everything into this series for about the past 4 years. A win in this race would be unbelievably special for the driver of that 29 machine.
Yeah, there's no guarantees where that driver sits right now. Into tonight, he's 15th in the points, 1 point over the final transfer spot. He's just 1 point behind, 1 more spot in front of him. So things are so very closely, tightly packed back there. A win would be such, just a relief for this driver to be able to get into it. But again, the question is, how much damage is too much? We always talk about, it's kind of ironic, Jacob, we always talk about how if you need aerodynamics at a track, it's Daytona. You don't want to get that car beat up. And then we also say that with the draft, it can kind of take away a little bit of that. You take a look at the left side of that 29, it's pretty torn up a good amount from the contact that he had earlier in the race. Is in second, but again, we haven't seen this car compete up front on a long green flag stretch. We went back green flag racing, caution came out very quickly. If that 29 can stick up in the top 5 for the first 5 laps and he has the speed to be able to challenge, I think he'll do whatever he can to put it in victory lane.
All right, Brian, you started the year with this team. You know what's going through their heads better than we do. What are you thinking if you're David and Brennan right now?
Well, I definitely think right now the plan's going to be to stick together. If, for some reason, Brennan Mercer is able to get in front of David Comstock, I think you'll see David try to stay behind him and help him. But David's not going to just allow Brennan Mercer to get in front of him. If Brennan's going to take this lead away from David, he's going to have to do it the hard way. He's going to get up on the outside line and make the move on his own. David's not going to just let him take it. Now, that being said, if David does end up losing the lead to Brennan, I think he'll stick with him and try to help him out, just because he knows that he needs that win to get into the chase. But he's not going to just let him take this. They're going to have to work for it here. And I know Brennan well enough to know that he understands that. He's not going to be upset. He's prepared to go out here and try to take this away from David Comstock the hard way. And I think it's going to be an exciting battle down to the end here between these two team cars if they stay up front.
It is going to be Scott Stenzel who is issued the EOL penalty by race control, so the machine of the 42 car going to be deemed the cause of that caution. It'll drop him back to 24th on the grid right now. You're taking a look on board with the sim rig of the driver of the number 11, Jonathan Cadell. He is one of the drivers who has had quite a rough go at it so far tonight. The GTR Simulator's Toyota Camry, no front end at all on that machine. He's playing a completely different game, Justin, than we've been talking about with Brennan Mercer. As Brennan's up there fighting for a win to get that lock into the chase, you got guys like Cadell, and he's many of drivers who are out there with pretty bad damage. They're beaten, they're banged up, they're off the lead lap, and all they're doing is trying to get as many points out of it as they can.
We could certainly come down to 1 or 2 points in Cadell without a win so far in the top series this year, and that really could play to somebody else's advantage, especially if he has another unfortunate incident here tonight. Points are everything, so that's why you're seeing Cadell really stick into it when you see guys like Jose Malbren, who's new to the series in this segment. He's going to end up on the trailer, and he's only just a couple of laps down, so still another 10 laps needed for Jonathan Cadell for him to even reach the 88 of Malbren. But we got the 28 machine of Ryan Vaughn in front of him, and 2 laps ahead of him is Dwayne Vincent. So these drivers all fighting for points positions right now.
The lights do go off on top of the iRacing.com Ford First Mustang pace car, Brian. We've seen, again, a little bit of a different draft model tonight. Some drivers like the outside, some drivers like the bottom. It's no doubt that probably the safest place to be, and the place that everybody wants to be, is P1, but what are you looking at in this field right now as we get set to go back green flag racing? 24 of them left on the lead lap, just over 25 laps to go. Who's still well in this thing?
Well, I think certainly David Comstock's got the best car. He's got pretty much the only car up here in this main pack with no damage. And he's going to have his teammate behind him. Really, other than the Boomtown cars, there hasn't been a lot of teammates working together tonight. It's been a lot of just random guys getting together and drafting together. I think what you'll see if David Comstock ends up getting separated from Brennan is he's going to start playing the lean game. He's going to jump up to the outside line when that outside line gets a run, and then he'll dive back down to the bottom when it's time for the bottom to get a run. And I think you'll see him do that. He tried doing that earlier on. He didn't time it all that great, but I think he's learned now that he's going to have to move a little bit quicker, and I think you'll definitely see him do that better here at the end of this race.
Ready to go for an American Ethanol restart, and it's going to be the teammates on the front row. David Comstock, Brennan Mercer. Pace car's gone again. Green flag back in the air, and look at Corbin Hemstreet up in third. Mercer's going to drop down right behind his teammate. They're going to work towards turn number 1, and Corbin Hemstreet is going to have the help of the 94 of Eric Brundy's now, the defending champ. We're 4 cars single file. First battles for 5th.
Again, that inside so strong, nobody and absolutely 0 cars up to help, though. Sean Casto's machine, the CarQuest Chevy, wants to come in line. He will in front of Rich Jet. Don't expect everybody, though, to go on the bottom. The 52 wants to go high. Rich Jet signals that he'll make a move with them. The question is, they need more than 2 cars. Here comes now the 89 machine, second up on the outside lane now as the 52 and the 36 continue to debate what they want to do. It's 89 and Jeff Ford. He's working with the 87, just not all that far behind him. Danny Sanchez back into the mix as well, but now 4 cars to the high side. There goes that 9 machine driving out of the mirror, trying to figure out what the guys behind him are doing, and DeBarro takes the lead on the outside.
DeBarro wants to get back to his teammate. If he and Corbin can ever get hooked up again, those two are going to be a force, and there goes the 69 right to the outside with the 9. They're going to stall out that inside lane, and now we're going to see what Boomtown can do. They've got to run. Comstock moves up to block, and Corbin Hemstreet's there for the lead in turn 3. Look at Mercer down to the inside, 3 wide.
The 14 did that earlier in the race. The 69 gave a shot to him. Maybe that was the only warning he was going to give him. Outside goes high, inside goes low, and now Trouble 94 heads up on the apron. Eric Brundy's got real squirrely down through 3 and 4. That's going to be big good news for the 14 of Comstock as he's able to drop back down in. He's now P4. He's pushing Brendan Mercer, but to the lead goes that RCO Boomtown operation duo. Hemstreet to the top spot with help from Anthony DeBarro. Still leaves though Sean Casto, Rich Jet up high. You can just see that 14 itching to jump out of line.
Now look at what else that did, Brian. It put the 29 out in front of the 14. So maybe a blessing in disguise, but Brennan Mercer told me if he gets to the lead, it's going to be a parachute because he's got some damage to the left front. The question is will Comstock pushing him be enough? If they can get to the lead, maybe, we don't know, but we're going to find out before too long because they want to move. Comstock gave him a shot coming through turn 4 last time.
Yeah, I think the only way it's going to work is if they wait until the very last lap or the last couple of laps and then they try to push Brennan up there. He's got a lot of damage, as you've already noted, and it's going to be really hard for him to lead this pack around here and be able to hold the lead for a long period of time. So they're going to have to wait until the very last possible second before they try to push him out there and hope that maybe they can stall out the other team cars there, as David Comstock just jumped to the outside line and is going to follow Rich Jet around on the outside and try to push these guys up to the front.
It may work right now. Sean Casto leading that outside lane with the 250 winner. Rich Jet pushing him. Could this be a turnabout move? The battle for the lead is 2 by 2 across the start-finish line. Hemstreet gets it by inches. Casto wants the lead to turn 1, and Comstock's pushing it to make it 3 versus 2, outside and inside.
And you see the 14 playing the spectator right now, up on the high side, down to the bottom in the middle. He's trying to see which lane is going to get going. He goes to the outside. He'll follow the 36 of Rich Jet up top. Give it a shot to the 52 of Sean Casto down in quarter number 3. All alone, though, down low. They don't have any support till they get back to Brendan Mercer. Get the 14 jumped the line because Brendan doesn't have any immediate help. Now he does with Jeff Ward. The car just not fast enough to suck up to the back of the 9. They're side by side for the first 2 rows. Dead heat at the start-finish line. Small advantage on the outside to Sean Casto, though, continuing to work with Rich Jet. 14 to the inside, 3 wide to 1.
Oh boy, this is where it gets chaotic. Comstock up the middle and Casto nearly into the fence. Now you're going to see the shift. That was a power move move by David Comstock. He's trying to do it all by himself down the super stretch.
You think a little bit of payback too? The guys that split him 3-1, he goes right up the middle on them and puts them behind him. You can see 52 to 36. Sure, they have a little bit of damage, but that is a sign of how strong that 14 has been. They didn't like the move, Jacob, so now they're going to leave him out to dry. To the inside goes both Sean Casto and Rich Jett, who helps the Monster Energy Chevy.
All right, Brian, so if you're David Comstock, now what? You basically burned a bridge right there, at least from what we've seen, and you gotta have help. We know that here at Daytona.
Yeah, that was an aggressive move with a lot of laps left, and I'm not sure that is a move that's going to benefit him down the stretch. It was an impressive move, and it made things exciting for us up here in the broadcast booth, but as far as trying to get help going down to the last 20 laps or so, that was a very risky call, because we already know Corbin Hemstreet and Anthony DeBarro, they're going to stay together. And now, Sean Castro and Rich Jett, they just saw what David did to them. They're not going to work with him. They're going to try to help him out every chance they get and keep him behind them. So I don't know if I would have made that decision this early. With 5 to go for it. Hopefully for him, this pack will get sucked back up and he'll have some help. Maybe he can make a move here and maybe try to make that move and make it work this time.
How about Castro back to the outside with Jett, takes the lead away. We're closing in on the final quarter of this race. We just passed lap 60. We have got 20 laps to go. We're going to take our final commercial break, go side by side so you will not miss a thing. Sean Casto, your new leader here at the Daytona International Speedway, with Rich Jett to second and Corbin Hemstreet and Anthony DeBarro behind them, third and fourth. The Firecracker 200 on LSRTV, presented by Garry Mercer Trucking, and from the World Center of Racing, you're watching LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. Welcome back to LSRTV and coverage of the Firecracker 200 for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series. 13 laps to go at the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. Jacob Seelman, Evan Pasoko, Brian Macklin in the broadcast booth, Justin Rosenau patrolling pit road, and oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, the teammates out in front. Corbin Hemstreet, Anthony DeBarro ride 1-2 for Boomtown Sim. 3 and 4 for Prestige Worldwide are Sean Casto and Rich Jett. David Comstock has no friends in 5th. You got Jimmy North and Nick Cohan 6th and 7th behind him. And Justin Rosenau, the radio communicator. Apologies for the technical difficulties, but trying to squeeze in 4 wide, and we are a mess. Caution flag's gonna fly in turn number 3. It's not out yet. Now it comes out with 10 laps to go. Oh my, they were 4 wide for the lead going into turn number 3, and that just completely changed everything. Anthony DeBarro comes away with the lead. I don't know where to start, Evan. That was in front of you in turn 3.
In the 52, working with the 36 all night long. Both go to the high side. Sean Casto comes down. He's clear of the 69, but he had second thoughts. He started to go up, get back with his partner. Then he tried to come back down. At that point, it was Corbin Hemstreet, who wasn't really there, but he did have the nose, so he wasn't about the lift. 52 comes down, and they get loose. They end up 3 wide. The top 4, who were all 4 wide, they were okay. Jimmy North goes up the racetrack a little bit behind him, gets Nick Cohan, and maybe the guys in front were looking in their mirror, because then the 9 came up, hit the 36, hit the 14, and it was another one of the cases where everybody was bouncing off the wall, but nobody was wrecking quite yet until Jimmy North got turned around. A valiant run for that team. Hard hit for the 48 as well, but it was a very tense single file down the back straightaway. It broke out just like that, and when it did, it was not very pretty.
So, under caution, what that's going to set up, Brian, is about a 5-lap shootout to the finish. And this really couldn't have worked out any better if you're Boomtown Sim right now. Anthony DeBarro takes the lead. Corbin Hemstreet going to restart 3rd. They can go on the restart. They're hooked up exactly the way they need to be.
Yeah, I think this worked out in their favor big time. That was a very scary moment for both of those guys, though, because they were inches away from being involved in that wreck. I do believe David Comstock was the only car in this main draft that didn't have damage, and now he's also very tore up. So I don't think there's very many, if any, clear cars here on the racetrack at this point. I think they all have a little bit of damage, and now it's just going to be a matter of who has the lesser amount of damage and who's going to be able to come home with this thing here. It's going to be really interesting with having the 2 Boomtown cars lined up on the inside line. Sean Casto is going to need to make some friends behind him if he's going to have a chance here.
We talk about making friends, and we're talking about these duos that we've been seeing. The 14 machine had the fastest car all night, Brian. We were talking about that on the last caution flag. We knew it, but he started to make a couple of moves, and very quickly you could see that nobody wanted to help him at all. He had the upper hand in regards to the fact that he had one of the cleanest race cars, but after all of that, you know, everybody was working together. Everybody was side by side. Everybody had a partner. Now, you know, it puts it almost in the hands of the Boomtown guys who we thought were in prime position running 1-2 right now, but you know, it's a good case of showing you that if you don't have your teammate there and you're that 14 of David Comstock, the fastest race car might not win it for you, because friends is that key word that I picked out in that, because nobody was helping him, and that's how he found himself 4 wide when he was the only car up there.
Yeah, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and now it's just going to be a matter of getting lined up, and hopefully the guys get the right push on the outside line. We have a battle for the lead and have a good race here to the finish. And Justin Rosenau, I
Welcome back to LSRTV. Again, apologies for the couple of technical difficulties, but we are riding under caution right now with about 7 laps coming to the finish. DeBarro, you're still your leader, and the biggest thing here, Justin Rosenau, I'm going to throw it down to you on pit road really quickly. DeBarro, Himstreet, and a substitute driver for the Boomtown team tonight, Danny Sanchez, rides 5th. They have got a 3-car freight train on the inside. We know that those 3 are going to try to work together to win this race. The biggest thing is, if they can get out front, a caution comes out now, this race is over.
That certainly is the case, but you have to wonder here. I'm going to quickly run through the 6 cars involved in that incident, bringing out the caution here. It's a couple of moments ago with the 69 of Corbin Himstreet in 3rd on the restart. Got a little bit of damage there. The 84, Jimmy North, heavy damage on his machine. He's on pit road. The 36, Rich Jet, takes his vehicle behind the wall along with the 53 of Nick Cohan, the 48 of Kevin Linden, also behind the wall. 14 of David Comstock is still on pit road and on and off, just trying to get repairs made to that Monster Energy Chevrolet as he's now back out on the racetrack. But those are your 6 cars involved, and you have to wonder if that damage is really going to slow up that inside line, because Boomtown really needs a strong run, because you can't really count out the 89 of Jeff Ward, the 91 of Steve Goschalk, or the defending champion Eric Brundys, and also Sean Castle, who's shown his muscle thus far tonight on the outside line.
All right, based on my math, with 6 laps to go on the restart, if there's a caution on the restart lap, we would get a 1-lap dash. Anything after that, this race is over. Evan, we know what the inside lane's going to do, but our team order's going to be enough? Is our teammates going to be enough to pull this off with 6 laps to go at Daytona?
Well, you're working right now with 11 lead changes under our 5th caution. Look, we saw they were working together onto the back straightaway, but once one car made an erratic movement, everybody, including those Boomtown cars, including the combo of the 52 machine, they ducked away. They found an opening. So you could work together. If we stay too wide, which is considered calm for Daytona, if we stay too wide, you'll see those teams be able to stick together up until off of corner 4. But the second somebody throws a block a little bit too late, somebody does something that somebody doesn't like, then who knows where they're going to jump. So if things remain calm, they're going to work together, but it's going to be controlled chaos for the most part. Keep an eye on that second car in line, though, with the tandems.
This is it right here. 6 laps to go in the Firecracker 200. It all comes down to this. Green flag in the air. We're underway from Daytona International Speedway. 15 miles to settle it. Anthony DeBarro gets a little bit of a jump. He may have gotten too far out in front, but he's got his teammates coming behind him. They're headed for 1.
52, nowhere to get in line. He's got to get behind the 87, pinching down, contact, look out as the 87 to Danny Sanchez almost goes up the racetrack. Now the 52 with Sean Casto going to be able to drop down on the inside. Single file inside the entire top 7 down the back. The first car up Python on him with a Gottschalk.
Teammates run 1, 2, 3 now. Sean Casto gives the 87 a shot. Danny Sanchez holds on to it. Boomtown, the tandem, sweeps the podium right now. Inside 5 laps to go. If the caution comes out now, this race is over. 5 laps remaining at Daytona, and Brian Macklin, this is exactly how they wanted it to play out at the restart.
This worked out perfect for them, getting all 3 of them lined up in a row at the front of the pack. It's going to be very hard for Sean Casto or anybody back here at this point to mount a charge on the outside line. They can't afford to wait. It's going to take 3 or 4 laps for them to get that outside line wound up and get it up there to challenge these guys. I don't think you can wait. Unfortunately for those guys back there, there's nobody really working together as now the 03 of Thomas Lattimore peeks out to the outside line, but he doesn't have any help. He's the only one out there. He's going to have a few more cars if he's going to make that work, and unfortunately right now everybody's committed to the inside line.
They're committed to the inside, and there's 4 laps to go, 10 miles at Daytona, Evan. And right now, nobody willing to step out of line yet. They're waiting. Now, Casto takes a peek to the outside, but he's got nobody coming with him. He's got to fall back into line.
And Casto's been up on the outside all night, even when there were just 3 or 4 of them, even if he was 8 cars back. He really likes the outside. He knows a lot about it. We saw this single file, though, right before we went 4 wide into quarter 4 not all that long ago. There's a lot of straight now. Side. Goes the number 25 machine. It's the Kodiak entry. He's got help for the number 91 machine. They're the first cars to go high. Don't be surprised if Grundy does something. The 52's itching to go at it. 3 laps to go at the start-finish line. Who goes first?
25 gets hung out to dry right there. Nick Silver in the Kodiak machine. Nowhere to go. Again, Sean Castro looks to the outside. Oh, Hemstreet took a peek up to the outside for a minute. Now goes back to the bottom, and Casto's going to be clotheslined here. Eric Brundys is going to move to 4th, and Sean Casto may have just given up his shot for the win. 2.5 laps to go. Casto's dropping back at the CarQuest machine.
And people know that that 52 machine does have a little bit of damage, so the fact that they're not working with them, they all want to go to the inside. They're trying to wait until the last second. Every time contact at the front of the field. DeBarro sideways, Hemstreet's in the wall. Big wreck at a corner number 4, and it is going to be Anthony DeBarro at the start-finish line as they wreck behind him. 2 laps to go, and the yellow flies. He'll be the winner if he can coaster back home. It all broke loose just like that. Even single file. One tapped the wrong spot, and that happens.
Contact between the teammates, it just got a little bit too tight. And I know, at least from the vantage point that we had in turn number 3, you know it wasn't intentional, and he immediately came over the radio and said something about it. But as it is, DeBarro still gets this win. They wanted to sweep the podium, and instead, the 3rd massive crash of this night. And the biggest thing about this is, do they hand the penalty to DeBarro? Where do they see the cause of the caution coming from? We're coming around to the white flag. I can guarantee you, Evan, that that 9 car is not going to claim the caution. Corbin Hemstreet just took it right there. 69 takes it. That right there will give the 9 his first Full Throttle Cup Series victory.
We asked, when this victory would come, and it'd been so close on so many of these racetracks we've been to, and then we talk about a track like Daytona where somebody might come flying into this and steal one, and that's where Anthony DeBarro finally picks it up. I don't think that race control was going to give it to the 9 because it was a little bit to the bottom that Corbin went. Again, he was just trying to follow the 9, went up and tagged him, but just to be sure, how about your team car there, and make sure that you claim the caution. You're already wrecked and out of this race, and make sure. And the 9, by the way, was sideways, and the left side of the race car was jacked up off the apron. So it took a hell of a wheel to the right to keep Anthony DeBarro even pointed forward to still win this one.
So we limp around a bunch of cars with damage, white flag and caution flag together. That's going to put Steel Horse 2, 3, and 4 with Jeff Ward, Steve Gottschalk, and Jason Swan. Chad Cole somehow finds his way through to 5th. But, Brian, it's the guy who's going to pick up the victory that probably is the biggest story of them all. 8 races ago, nobody knew who Anthony DeBarro was. He just started in this series at the beginning of the last segment. Now, all of a sudden, just like Pedro Mojica did 3 times in the last 8 races, Anthony DeBarro is putting the rookie stripes in victory lane.
Yeah, and how about that? They ran an incredible race working together the entire night. I never saw those 2 Boomtown cars really break apart from each other the entire night. They did a great job. And how about this? Jeff Ward's going to finish right behind him. How many times in the Asphalt Assault and the Outlaw Truck Series did we see these 2 duking it out for the wins? And now they're going to finish 1-2 here in the Full Throttle Cup Series. It's a different set of circumstances, but it's amazing how it's going to work out. He's going to have to hold off Jeff Ward for the win as they come off turn 4.
He doesn't have to hold anybody off at this point. He is about 500 yards, and the celebration has already begun. Cue the trumpets and get ready to celebrate. Boomtown's going to victory lane at Daytona. Anthony DeBarro crosses the caution and checkers. He'll pick up his first career Full Throttle Cup Series victory over the guy that he fought tooth and nail on Wednesday nights. Jeff Ward comes up second. And I believe Justin Rosenau down on pit road, not only has the party begun in the 9 pit, but when I stop and think about it, you and I watched the same thing happen when DeBarro picked up his first Outlaw Truck Series victory, again, over Jeff Ward.
We sure did, and you got to feel great for Anthony DeBarro. Yes, he punches his ticket to the chase. He's had a lot of strong runs except for just the last couple of weeks here. He's had a tough go of it. This is going to turn around Boomtown's fortune. They've cemented themselves now as an up-and-coming team in the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series. They've done it before in other series, but now, to borrow the man on a mission, does punch his ticket to the chase, and it's good to see Boomtown put one in the chase thus far.
DeBarro gets the win. He's going to get ready to burn it down. And Evan, this is a breakthrough for a team that we have all watched in this booth come so close. They finished second 5 times in this Full Throttle Cup Series season without a win. And who would have thought that the rookie of the 4 is the first one to give it to him?
Again, we always, you chalk Daytona up as the one where you'll see a surprise victor. And if you write it down in a stat book that it's somebody that got a first career Full Throttle Cup Series win, you're going to think along that same storyline. But it's not anything like what happened. Again, this win could have come, weeks prior to this. There's been very close opportunities where we thought, is today going to be the day? And things just didn't fall the right direction. Almost. We were, maybe contact 6 more inches to the left, and DeBarro would have been around with everybody else. He would have been in the fence, and then we, again, would be at this point talking about that team gets so close again, and they couldn't do it. Tonight, maybe a little bit of luck on the side of the 9 machine there late, but they put themselves in that spot to dictate the pace at the end of it. Sometimes you need a little bit of good fortune. The 9 machine turned that wheel all the way to the right in 3 and 4, kept her pointed straight, and it's a well-deserved and a long-coming victory for that organization.
DeBarro taking a slow victory lap. He wants to savor this, and we'll talk with him and the rest of our podium and try to catch up with some of those involved in the last lap melee in just a couple of moments during the LSRTV post-race show. DeBarro, your winner. We're back with more from Daytona in a moment. From the World Center of Racing, you're watching LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
It's been a very long offseason. Teams have changed, sponsors have changed, colors and all, but one thing that hasn't, they like to mash the loud pedal. Green flag is out on the 2015 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series season.
iRacing is the ideal platform for these broadcasts because we have the best racers, the best online racers in the world, and we have such a variety of racing, from NASCAR to Grand Prix style racing, sports car, endurance racing. We do it all.
Since 2010, the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series has been the absolute pinnacle of road racing in a simulated form. Great start then by Yakoda from the front. They're packing up behind number 1. They're going to be 4 wide as they come down into turn number 1 for the first time. Will they make it through that first corner? You can see them funneling through the center S's. It looks as though everyone is just about made it through. We have got ourselves some contact though, Rachel.
Side by side going into turns 3 and 4. Humpy's got the advantage with Ottinger's not going to.
Oh, he got into him!
Ottinger gets into the 58, turns right into him, and that ends Ottinger's run.
We do a lot of live broadcasts now. Every Tuesday is NASCAR night, so on alternating Tuesdays we do the Peak Antifreeze Series, and on the other Tuesdays the B-Class Series, which is the Xfinity cars, and sometimes we'll even do some short track racing depending on the schedule. Every other Saturday we do the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, so the best road racers we have. And we also broadcast some special events, including the Endurance Championship, which is part of the Road Warrior Series. So we broadcast the Daytona 24, the Sebring 12-hour, we'll do the Watkins Glen 6-hour, several other races along there. And then, of course, the iRacing Pro Racing Champions, which is usually our biggest and most watched event of the year.
That is short track racing, and that's how awesome this sim is, Joe. That's something you see on TV on highlight reels, and we just saw it here, live.
We invite iRacers who are real-world racers. They compete every December. Guys like Alex Gurney, Justin Wilson, Scott Speed, Ron Capps, the list goes on. Really some big name drivers from all major forms of motorsport. It's really neat to see them get together and race together.
See Laughlin up top, down to the ball, gets turned! Laughlin gets turned! Caution is out! Out foul at the front of the field!
The easiest place to find the broadcast is on our website, iracing.com/live. So you can find some of our races on fanschoice.tv as well. A nice place to find iRacing broadcasts. You can also find it at mrn.com and peakauto.com.
Welcome back to LSR TV, getting ready for post-race festivities at Daytona International Speedway. Jacob Seelman, Justin Rosenau, Brian Macklin getting ready to head down pit road to get ready to wrap up what's been an incredibly entertaining night. Anthony DeBarro, the winner of the Firecracker 200 from Columbia, New Jersey. The 9 car gets it done, and Justin Rosenau, before we head down to pit road, what a night. Can you believe what we just saw?
I don't know if I can necessarily believe it. It's not the way that Boomtown Sim wanted that to end. They wanted to sweep the podium. No ill intentions to cause the caution flight to get DeBarro to victory lane. And I got to tell you, I didn't even get a chance to call that, guys. And I am sitting here beside myself, just jittery with excitement because of the fact that it was such a great race to the end. And cautions aside, I thought it could have been rival for finish of the year.
Finish of the year, I think definitely you make the argument after this one, and it's one of those that we will definitely be talking about for a long time to come. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and start and kick it down to our own Brian Macklin, who, as we get set to roll with the post-race show, has caught up with our third-place finisher, the Nerfinator, Steve Gottschalk.
Yep, driver of the number 91, Steve Gottschalk. Steve, you had a really quiet race. You started in the third position. You kind of hung out in the top 10 the entire race. You avoided all the carnage, and then you came home with a third-place finish. Take us through all those big wrecks and how you managed to survive them and come home with a good finish.
I think I would probably call it luck as much as anything.
Yeah,
I felt that I had blown it about halfway through the race when a bunch of people took 2 tires and no tires, and I decided to take 4 tires, and it put me back in 16th, and then I just had to dodge wrecks for the rest of the race.
Well, you did a really good job avoiding the wrecks and coming home with a third-place finish. Obviously, you wanted to get that win, but what are your thoughts going forward with the rest of the season? Do you have a shot to get any wins down the stretch here?
I don't know. I need to pick it up a notch if I'm going to have a shot at a win at the rest of these tracks. So I would say the chances are slim. I'm hoping that at least I can continue to get some good finishes and make it in on points at least.
If that race had stayed green to the end, what could you have done differently to try to take that win away from Anthony DeBarro in the closing laps?
Well, I had a couple teammates around me, and it would have been, I think what I would have done was gotten those guys to go high with me and seen what we could do up there. I think we would have had a pretty good shot at it.
All right, and real quick, before we let you go, any sponsors you want to thank, any shout-outs you want to make real quick?
I want to thank my longtime sponsor, Nerf, and my team, Steel Horse Racing, and a bunch of great guys that I race with, and you guys for doing a great broadcast, and everybody at RSR for putting on a good show.
All right, thank you, Steve. That is the third-place finisher, driver of the number 91 Nerf Chevrolet SF, Steve Gottschalk. We're going to move a little bit further down pit road, where I believe Justin Rosenau has caught up with your second-place finisher.
Alongside the driver of the number 89 Unical 76 Chevrolet from Fairdale, Kentucky, that is Jeff Ward, one of the hottest drivers in all of sim racing. And Jeff, I know you had to avoid the melee there to get up there. Was it just a matter of being too far back in order to mount a run against the Boomtown Sim guys? They looked like they really had the freight train rolling tonight.
Yeah, Justin, we really caught a break. When they piled up there, I hate to see that for some of them guys having a good run, but we went from, I think it was running 7th, went straight to 2nd. So, we battled right front damage most of the night. We got caught up in that first little melee that happened in turn 1, the one that took out a bunch of good cars, and got the right side tore up. So we was kind of trying to fix that throughout the night. And then there on that the run before that, I lost the draft completely and lost track of my teammates and fell way back there. I thought our race was over. I was in 12th spot at that point. You never know how it's gonna turn out. I mean, we had that caution and then end up getting second place. So it's a big points night for us and got pretty lucky there.
You've already got a few wins on the season. You locked yourself into the chase. Was it really just a matter of just trying to get a good points night necessarily as your attention's rolling into the night, or were you really trying to add another win to level yourself off with David Comstock up at the top of the heap before the chase starts here in just a few weeks?
I would have loved to get up there and battle for the win, but the car just wasn't up to it. I was content with just riding right there and try to get a top 5 behind Eric Brundy's there. Yeah, I wish we could have tried to battle for the win, but we had a little too much damage. So sometimes that's the way it goes, and I'm just glad to get out of there alive. And second place is big for us here.
Looking ahead, you got a couple of racetracks that really suit your driving style. Do you think you have what it takes to really battle these guys? We got a bunch of new faces, but you still got a lot of the old guard still running up at the front. Can you take this momentum from this race and apply it to any of the races going forward?
Yeah, I think so. We've had a string of bad luck, so hopefully this kind of kick us in the right direction here in the Cup Series. And there's a stretch of races, like you said, that I'm pretty comfortable with here coming up. A couple short tracks and things that kind of hopefully will go my way out there. So we'll see what happens. I'm kind of happy that I was able to step forward here in the points. I think it might get us a little closer to David. I think we're still pretty far back on Dwayne, but a little closer to David now.
And Jeff, I know it's not easy to do it by yourself week in and week out here. Who's responsible for getting you in on the track week in and week out?
It's Steel Horse Racing. Congrats to them guys. We all had pretty good finishes. Well, most of us. I know Nick got caught up there at the end, but just thanks to friend and family. My buddy Mike Bailey when he spots for me and does hot laps with me and stuff like that. So thanks to you guys and to Real Sim Racing.
That's the driver who finished second in the Unocal 76 Chevrolet, the 89 Fairdale, Kentucky's Jeff Ward, and now on down to victory lane with Jacob Seelman. You got Columbia, New Jersey's Anthony DeBarro.
This win has been a long time coming for the rookie who started at the beginning of segment 2 and is now at the start of segment 3 an RSR Full Throttle Cup Series winner. Anthony DeBarro, I know you really had to take a few minutes to process all of this. Your teammates were running 2-3 behind you. You guys were looking to sweep the podium. Everything was going right. So what went wrong coming to the white flag?
We were just watching to see if anyone was coming in the outside, and Corbin was pushing. It's the name of the game, and pushed me down into 3, and it just seems like our bumpers never separated, and all of a sudden I was sideways, and the rest is history. I can't even. I don't know how that car came back straight. I guess it was meant to be, huh?
You pick up the win. I know how much you've been wanting this ever since that Outlaw Truck Series victory you got on Wednesday night. The whole team has wanted a win on Monday night. You finished second as Boomtown 5 times already this year without a win in the Full Throttle Cup Series. Not just for you, but for the team. What does it mean to finally have this one in your back pocket?
Well, I couldn't have done this without them, for sure. I mean, it's definitely a team win here. We're going to be celebrating for a while coming. I can tell you that, and hopefully the next one comes up soon on a speedway. We definitely want one of those.
It's been a long night. It's been an emotional finish. I mean, I know it's not sunk in yet, but by the way, in addition to a victory in this Monday night series, get to the top 30 and hello, you're in the chase all of a sudden. Have you even let yourself process that yet?
Yeah, I thought about it now. And now I got to go out there and points race a little bit and gather some top 15s and 10s to get up there, and we'll see where it goes from there. Still a long season to go. Hopefully we get a bunch more wins.
It's been a big night. It's one you'll remember, Anthony, I know, for a long time. Was there ever I know the three of you were working together on the restart, but was there ever any thought that Corbin was going to intentionally try to make a move for the win behind you, or was the plan all along just to stick together and make sure that that no matter what, the three of you did everything you could to make it happen and pull off a 1-2-3 sweep?
Yeah, there was a little bit of team involved there, but you never know coming off of 4 if it was the last lap what's going to go down. You know, I wouldn't expect him to just stick behind me the whole time. I would expect him to race me the same way I would race him, and that's go for the win.
Go for the win. You get the win tonight, Anthony. And I know there's a lot of people, a lot of supporters that have gone into all this and a lot of hours by Boomtown. Who makes it happen for you in the 9 crew?
Oh, I'd like to thank the folks at Speed 77 Radio. Also, you guys up there in the booth at LSRTV, Race Chaser Online, Performance Motorsports Network, and also you. I'd like to thank you. Wouldn't be possible without you, Jacob. And my teammates, Corbin, Mitch, Jared, and Chris, this is for you guys.
Gets it done, makes it happen. Anthony DeBarro is a Full Throttle Cup Series winner at long last. The rookie writes his name in the record books as a winner of the Firecracker 250. It's a moment that he'll remember for a long time to come. And talking about moments that are going to be in the memory banks for a long time, I know for just the opposite reason, Justin Rosenau, the guy that's up there with you, going to be remembering it for quite a different reason. Corbin Hemstreet out of the care center and unfortunately unable to come away with the finish that he probably deserved, running second in the final laps.
Alongside the driver, the number 69 Boomtown Sim Chevrolet, and Corbin, you really had a strong run going there. Tell us about your version of events there just before it seemed like all hell broke loose at the front of the field.
Yeah, we're pushing along pretty good, just trying to manage the outside line and get to either the caution or the checkered flag, whichever came first. And I just got in there and pushed Anthony a little, I guess at the wrong time, got him up the racetrack a little bit, and by the time I checked up, it was too late to turn him sideways, and it's really unfortunate. It ended under caution and ended under our caution, but man, I am so psyched Anthony got in there to victory lane, man. Boomtown Sim has been trying for about a year now, and we finally broke through, and we're really hoping to continue that success and get a couple more wins this quarter.
And Corbin, I know you yourself were out front for quite a while, and then you had that big 4-wide melee that gave you a little bit of damage there and put your teammate out front. Was it really a case of what might have been, or were you just happy, first of all, to see Boomtown Sim finally in victory lane now in the Cup Series?
Man, there's two things on my mind right now. Number one, that we got that win. We finally pushed through. It was at Daytona, but I really feel like a lot of tracks, almost every track, we have one or two guys that are battling for the lead. So I really think we have more to come. And the other thing is going back through the field and apologizing to all the guys that got caught up in that in the last couple laps there, because nobody wants to end Daytona under caution. We're having a great race, and we made a mistake that cost a lot of guys, and we got a lot of guys upset with us right now. So we'll be trying to repair that as well.
Dramas abound down here in the paddock here in the garage. Corbin, I know you got some sponsors to thank as well. Who makes it happen for you in the 69?
Yeah, really got to thank Race Chaser Online for coming on for the remainder of the 2015 season. It's going to get us into a lot more victory lanes, hopefully, and Speed 77 Radio, Performance Motorsports Network, and really got to thank Jared, who's up there in the booth, man. He works his ass off for not much credit, and Anthony for winning the race, and Mitch, and everybody down here in Boomtown that works so hard to make this team so great and get us to these victory lanes.
That's the driver of the number 69 Boomtown Sim Chevrolet. That's Corbin Hemstreet and Jacob. I know it was not necessarily what Corbin and the gang necessarily wanted. They were set to go 1, 2, 3, but certainly was not meant to be for that. But they're still happy nonetheless because it was meant to be, because Anthony Navarro finds himself in victory lane. And I really can't say too much else about it. It was a great race to the finish. And in all honesty, I really don't think Daytona gets much better than this.
It really doesn't. And what a night it's been, Brian Macklin. Let's start taking a look, if you will. Take us down the first chunk of the full field rundown presented by Ford, because it got shuffled there at the end behind Anthony DeBarro.
Yeah, Anthony DeBarro coming home with that big win. He's finally got that win and can get into the chase if he stays in the top 30 in points. Jeff Ford's going to finish second. He's going to make up a ton of points on Dwayne Vincent and David Comstock, both having been involved in wrecks early on. Steve Gottschalk's going to be in third. Jason Swan is in fourth. Chad Cole is fifth. Nick Silver is going to come home sixth. Thomas Lattimore is going to be seventh. William Kempf is going to be eighth, and Brendan Mercer, who we talked about trying to get that first ever Full Throttle Cup Series win, he didn't get it tonight. He's going to finish ninth, and rounding out your top 10 is Paul Fugit in the 10th position.
43 of Doug Roth going to come home in the 11th spot. 12th goes to the 21 Quick Car Racing Products Chevrolet of Matt Lacrosse. Scott Simley in the 15 finds himself 13th. The Monster Energy Chevrolet David Comstock looked to be very strong late. Got involved in that four-wide melee. He comes home 14th. 69 Corbin Hemstreet finds himself 15th. 52 Sean Casto 60th. 96 of Mitch Rollo comes home 17th. 87 Danny Sanchez comes home 18th after that last melee there. 94 Eric Brundy's your defending Cup champion, comes home 19th, rounding out the top 20, the 42 of Scott Stenzel.
In the 21st position is the number 55 of Douglas Wyatt. J.R. Johnson is going to finish 22nd. 23rd is going to go to Rich Jett, your Daytona winner from the February race. Jimmy North, after having an impressive run, he unfortunately was caught up in that wreck and is going to finish 24th. Nicholas Cohan is 25th. Kevin Linden is 26th. Ryan Vaughn, in his debut here in the series, is going to finish 27th. Dwayne Vincent, a big points loss for him. He was your points leader coming into the race. It does not appear he's going to be after this. He's going to finish 28th out of the race. Jose Malbrin is going to finish 29th, and 30th is going to be Jonathan Cattell.
5 drivers running out the end of the field here tonight, all off the pace and out of the race at the drop of the checkered flag. 31st going to the 95 with Joe Dinsmore. 72 with David Camara coming home 32nd. 33rd going to be the 23 of Greg Evans. The 1 of Thomas J. George coming home 34th in that Snap-on Tool Chevrolet. And the 66 of Brian Harvey going to be the last car scored in 35th place, so tough luck for the driver of that 66 Chevrolet. And Jacob, that is your Ford full field rundown.
That Ford full field rundown is powered by Ford. Go further. And as we get set to wrap it up tonight from the Daytona International Speedway, Justin, really quickly, what a race we've seen. What a win by Anthony DeBarro, and what a night. I don't know that we expected the kind of fireworks and the kind of drama that we had in the closing laps, but at the end of the night, boy, was this ever a demonstration of exactly the kind of excitement, entertainment, and all-out fun that Daytona International Speedway can be.
Yeah, it was a really good display. The only way we could have topped this finish in any way, shape, or form would have been a run to the checkered flag underneath the green flag condition on the raceway. And really, you got to really be happy for Boomtown Sim, because those guys have been hard at it all season long to really make a mark this year and really take Steel Horse Racing to the woodshed at times. And, those guys can't really discount them at all, because they're very, very good drivers nonetheless. And it's really come down really to a 3-horse race between Aftermath Motorsports. You also have I do believe that's going to end up being Steel Horse Racing and Boomtown Sim. Pretty much your top 3 teams, but you can't really count out Dwayne Vincent, because he's the lone wolf in the one-up Motorsports Century. He got involved in that early caution. You have to wonder what might have been for his camp as well.
You do have to wonder what might have been, and what might have been tonight as well. Maybe a podium finish, maybe a chance at a win coming off turn 4, but nonetheless, his teammate Anthony DeBarro, a winner in the Full Throttle Cup Series at long last. The 9 ends up in victory lane, and as we say goodnight from the Daytona International Speedway, our congratulations at LSRTV go out to the driver of the Boomtown Sim Sweet 77 Radio Chevrolet, Anthony DeBarro, your winner at the World Center of Speed. So right now, for Ryan Macklin, Evan Pasoko, Justin Rosenau, and our executive producer Laura Lawson, I'm Jacob Seelman for Real Sim Racing and LSRTV, reminding you to keep it off the wall until we meet again. We'll see you next time right here on the web. Good night from Daytona.